welcome back for another week to our Express Pilates classes. My name's Chris, I'm an exercise physiologist and clinical Pilates instructor. I hope you've been enjoying the classes. I love doing it because it gives me a chance to teach Pilates to sort of a larger audience and give it to people to be able to do in their home, just to start to introduce Pilates into the day. So I really enjoy it. I hope you're enjoying it as well. We'll make a start down on the mat and then we'll talk through as we go. On the mat, lying on your back, we're going to have the knees bent. We're going to start with some crunches. So warming up those outer abdominal muscles. You can either have the hands interlinked behind the head or your fingertips are your temples. Elbows are out wide in this position and we're just curling up through the spine. We draw our chin down towards our chest. We roll up, coming up into that crunch, and then we slowly roll back down. The elbows stay out wide, so open across the front of the chest. We're curling up, drawing the chin down towards your chest as you start. Make sure the neck muscles stay relaxed. The hand's really just there to give your neck a little bit of support. We're not pulling on the neck, we're not reaching with the neck. We keep the chin back. I want you to think about leading with your rib cage. Again, lead with the rib cage. Think about drawing your ribs down towards your hips. Crunches are a really nice abdominal movement that deload the lower back. With our knees bent, they put it into a really nice neutral position. It's a short range, it's just working our abdominals. It takes the focus off our hip flexors, like a lot of other abdominal exercises tend to overwork our hip flexors, which in a lot of people are really strong and tight. With crunches, we take that out, we bring the back into a nice position. But just like any other exercise, they can be done poorly. So we just want to make sure I've got all the basics right. Once you've got those basics right, you can make it a little bit harder if you want to. You can bring the legs up into tabletop with the legs at right angles in that same movement. We do bring the hip flexors in a little bit with the legs on tabletop. We bring our lower abdominals in, but just to the right amount. Becomes a lot more challenging. If you want to make it a little bit harder again, you can add in a hold, reach the arms away and back in and roll back down. Again, just holding, keeping the ribs pulled down, stretching arms away, bring your hands back, rolling back down. And continue with this movement, holding as high as you can. Think about lifting that a little bit higher now. Those muscles are starting to work. Should be able to just get a little bit higher. Reaching the arms away. As you reach the arms in and out, if you've got that component, if you've added that in, make sure we hold this position high. We don't lose any height. Make sure the neck stays relaxed. Got another 30 seconds. Should start to feel those abdominal muscles fatiguing. It's a really slow and controlled movement. We can go for a second or two on the way up, a second or two rolling back down. This way we deload the lower back. As we slow the movement down, it takes a lot of pressure off the lower back. The quicker we go, the more pressure we have. And that's fine. It's just all about working within your range of competency. Making sure if you've got injuries, you're controlling for those injuries. Last one, I want you to hold here. We're doing small pulses, bringing it an inch up and then back down. Like 10 seconds. Neck stays relaxed, the hands are just gently supporting the neck. The rib cage is where the movement's coming from. We're pulling down here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and roll back down. Hug your knees into your chest. Good, and bring our legs up into tabletop again. The head stays relaxed down this time. I'm going to be stretching the leg away from you, out as far as you can. Then bring the leg back to the tabletop. Now I've got a few ways we can make this exercise a little bit harder. We can stretch the leg out and down, and then back in. Making sure as the leg comes down, our lower back stays in a neutral position. People will have a tendency to lose that position, arch up there. I want you to make sure you've got that strength to keep the lower back down in a neutral position. Just stretching to the point you've got control. If you want to make it harder again, you can try both legs. It's a lot harder. Make sure again your lower back is not arching up as the legs go in and out. If it is, just make the exercise a little bit easier. If this is too hard, you can start with the legs down and stretch the leg away from there. And that's sort of our easier option right at the start. So just pick what's right for you. We've got another 30 seconds. Try to control at the pelvis and lower back. This exercise isn't so much for your legs, the muscles of the legs, it's more for the muscles of the abdominals. They're controlling your hip position to make sure it doesn't roll forwards and our lower back doesn't arch up. As the legs going in and out, you can think of activating your deeper muscles, either lifting the pelvic floor or drawing your belly button down. Another 15 seconds. Should start to be getting a little bit tiring. Now I'm feeling it through those abs and through the hips. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hug your knees into your chest, just some small circles there, well done. Okay, abdominals working, we're going to come up onto our hands and knees. We'll get our back muscles working in a little bit as well, starting with a neutral spine halfway between the top and bottom, keeping your back straight. So we're going to start a little bit higher on the mat. We step one foot back, so we come up onto our toe. We step our second foot back, so you're up into a plank. When the first knee comes down, the second knee comes down, we start again. You can start over on the other leg next time. Actively stepping that leg out, so lifting the knee, stretching the leg away, holding that weight. As the second leg comes out, first knee comes in, and the second knee comes in. Quite a challenging exercise. If you're finding it too hard, just bring the first leg out, and then lift, and then back down, then back down. The other option is to just unfold one leg, unfold the second, fold, and fold. Makes it a little bit easier. If you can, go that full move up onto the toes, and then back in. If you want to make it harder, just hold. Come up onto the toes, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back in. Just finding what's right for you. I want to give a few options so you've got that ability to make it harder or easier if it's not right for you. Let's do a couple more. So this one, shoulders working, abdominals, back has to stabilize as well. All those muscles working in together to create stability and length through the spine. Coming back in, you should start to feel the whole body warming up and the breathing working as well. We've got one more. On this next one, we're going to hold. Holding for as long as you can. We'll go up to 20 seconds. If you can hold it for 20 seconds, great. Holding that position, holding the body straight. Neck is long, shoulders are strong. Still on the toes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees down, sit back onto the heels. If you got through that full 20 seconds, you're doing pretty well. We're going to continue with some push-ups. Shoulder muscles are a little bit fatigued from that one. We'll go for another 30 seconds with some push-ups. Hands just about shoulder width or a little bit wider apart. If you're on your knees, we want our body straight. We want our hips forwards and the weight over our hands. Same movement up on the toes. It's up to you. I want you to do it on your knees. If you don't feel like you can do it 100% up on the toes. We lower the chest down as low as we can and we push back up. In today's push-ups, I want you to bend your elbows into your rib cage as you come down. It's quite a challenging push-up, working into the triceps and the front of the shoulders a little bit more. We've got another 15 seconds. Elbows into the side each time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up, sitting back onto the heels in child's pose, stretching the arm away. We're going to come onto our back into a spine curl. Our last set of exercises for the day. Doing really well if you've got through the class so far. Setting up with your feet about hip distance apart, legs bent in towards you, arms down at the side. We're tilting the pelvis, we're lifting our hips, rolling up into a bridge and rolling back down. We've talked about before that idea of your spine being like a bit of Velcro, being peeled up from one end. One vertebra at a time, lifting up on towards the shoulders as we lower back down, one vertebrae at a time, rolling the spine back down. So working on that control at every level of the spine, rather than just treating it as like a stiff rod where everything moves at once. We want to be able to use that full function of the spine, that ability for it to bend and flex as we lift up and down. Quite often people do, they get really protective over their back because I've had injuries and I've been told not to bend, not to lift. So they just stiffen everything up. That's actually can help in the short term when you've got an injury, but in the long term it leads to further problems of stiffness and immobilization of joints, so other joints have to compensate when we do need a bend. If we can try and even that out and the whole spine working together, it's a lot better for our back. On this next one, I just want you to hold it up there. I'm going to straighten one leg away, straighten the right leg out for simplicity, lower your hips down and push back up. So an inch down and then back up. That left glute is working. Left glute, hamstring and lower back. Think about squeezing your glute as you lift up. You're going to have 5 more. If it's getting too much, you can rest down, but I want you to try to keep pushing if you can. 4. Small, slow, controlled pulses. 3, 2, and 1. Swap the leg, straighten the other leg away, lower your hips down an inch, and then pulse back up, pushing up high. Down an inch, then back up high. Down an inch, pulsing up, squeezing through that glute, that whole posterior chain, hamstring, glute, and lower back are working together. Got 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lower back down, resting for a moment. We've got 1 more set in this exercise. Lift the hips up and hold. Straighten your right leg away. Keep your hips up. Keep them lifted, especially that right side. And we're going to wave that right leg up towards the roof, down towards the mat, keeping this midsection still, keeping that really strong. Your left leg doing the work to keep your hips up. 5 more. 1, a little bit quicker. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bend that leg. Keep your hips up. Push them up. Prop them up. Keep them level. Left leg stretching away. We've got 8 over on this left side. Keeping that tempo up. We're up to 2. 3. Right side's working hard. 4. Last exercise. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bending your knees. Placing that down. Rolling your spine back down. Hug your knees into your chest. Some small circles there. Take a deep breath in. Think about how good the body feels to work out, to get rid of that energy. Great job. A little bit of a tougher class today. If you found it too hard, go back through some of our first classes where we're building up week by week. If you got through that today, awesome job. Do this same class another couple of times during the week to continue to build up that strength, that core strength, back, shoulder, everything working together. Take this energy that you got out of the class, take that into the rest of the day, take it into the rest of the week, that feeling of just being on top, feeling really good, take it into your work, into everything you do. Have a great week and we'll see you next week. Well done.